internet. Today I'm finally here to do my July wrap-up because between BookTubeathon and me switching jobs, I just haven't got around to filming it, even though it's August 12th. Anyway, let's talk about July. So I read 8 books in July. I also participated in the biannual Bibliothon, which I completed 3 books during that, and the beginning of BookTubeathon was during the last couple days of July. So I finished one of my BookTubeathon reads during the month of July. So that one will be at the end. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the wrap-up, and hopefully I can remember things that I wanted to talk about in my wrap-up. It'll be interesting. So the very first book that I finished in the month of July was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. I finally finished up my reread of the Harry Potter series. I listened to the audiobook for this one. This is my favorite book of all time. It means everything to me. I cried a lot. At one point I was literally just sitting on my couch crying because I was listening to the audiobook and I couldn't do anything else. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed my reread. I will probably reread them again next year. I'll just reread them all again. And obviously I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I'm not going to talk about it too much because, again, it's my favorite book of all time. So what else is there really to say? Next, I listened to another audiobook, and it was actually another reread for me. That was The Horse and His Boy, which is in the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. This, either, if you read it chronologically, it's the 3rd book, and if you read it in publication order, I believe it's the 5th book. This one, I remember when I read them as when I was younger, it was my least favorite of all the ones I got through. And again, I got kind of bored with this one. I remember getting bored with it as a kid. I had a really promising beginning, I think, but about halfway through I got bored. But I still enjoyed being in the world of Narnia. Like, I enjoyed reading it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as the others, if that makes sense. And I really liked the narrator for this one, so that's always good. But yeah, this one, you know, wasn't my favorite, but, you know, it was fine. I gave it 3.5 stars. And I'm really looking forward to getting to Prince Caspian. Next, I had another reread. I promise this is my last reread. I just started off the month with a lot of rereads. But that book was Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 2nd book in the Throne of Glass series. And I am slowly rereading this series to get ready for Kingdom of Ash. I need to work on that a little bit. But anyway, Crown of Midnight, I really enjoyed this reread. It's really cool to go back and reread these books knowing what all I do know now, because this was so early on in the series that there was so much I didn't know the first time I read it, and it's just so interesting to go back and read these knowing everything I know now, and I'm not even completely caught up because I haven't read Tower of Dawn. But I'm so enjoying this reread. I love this series so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I can't wait to continue my reread of this series. The next book I completed was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is an adult fantasy book, and it's a very beloved book here on BookTube, and I definitely see why. I really see why people enjoy this book so much. And why some people even consider it their favorite book of all time. I did enjoy it, but not as much as I wanted to. My thing is I listened to this on audiobook, and the audiobook was great, don't get me wrong. Jim Dale narrates it, who narrates the Harry Potter audiobooks, and he does a fantastic job, and I really enjoyed that. The only thing that listening to the audiobook didn't enhance was the fact that there are a lot of time jumps in this book, and I had a really hard time keeping up with it while listening to it on audio. I did it while I was in the car because I took a bit of a road trip in July, the beginning of July, and so I couldn't just stop and like look at the book to see where I was. I had to keep going. I got kind of confused at points. So I think in the future, probably sometime next year, I would really like to revisit this book and read the physical one, and I think that I'll enjoy it way more. Not that I didn't enjoy it, I still really loved this book, but I feel like I missed a lot of the details because of that. But like I said, I definitely see why everybody loves this book. I definitely am interested in rereading it. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to giving it another go sometime soon. Next on my list is actually my first read for the biannual Bibliothon, and that was Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. This is a YA fantasy series about a girl named Alex who is just kind of coming into her powers as a bruja, and she does not want those powers. So she tries to find a way to get rid of them, and when she does the ritual, for lack of a better word, I can't remember what they call it in here, to get rid of her powers, she accidentally makes her entire family disappear, and then she has to go on a hunt to find them. This was a really, really fun story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really liked the pacing of this book, at least towards the end, and then I really felt like the end could have had a little bit more to it. Like, for example, we went through this entire story, a lot happened on this journey, and then the ending, the big, like, battle, I guess for lack of a better word, was just like a few pages. And I kind of was wanting a little bit more. Another thing I wasn't too happy with was there is bisexual rep in here. I wasn't super happy with the way it was fleshed out. I felt like neither love interest we really got to know super well as a love interest. They didn't delve into those characters enough. And not saying that you can't have bisexual rep without there being love interest, but I feel like that hindered on it a bit. And also we really just, I feel like we could have delved a little bit more into her personal feelings. It just, I don't know, they could have been done, there could have been more, I think, in terms of the bisexual rep in here. I'm having trouble remembering what my exact thoughts were because it's been a while since I've read it, but I do remember not being super impressed with that. But the storyline was a lot of fun, the characters were a lot of fun, I enjoyed this book a lot, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely want to check out the next one because it is from the point of view of another character that I liked in this book, and I'm looking forward to checking that out. The next book I read for Biannual Bibliothon was Ivy Aberdeens' Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a middle grade book about a girl named Ivy who is trying to figure out her sexuality. She has this journal, she likes to draw pictures in it, she's very artistic, and she's been drawing pictures of girls holding hands, and she's not really sure why she keeps thinking about those things, but she is. And suddenly her family's house is swept up in a tornado and Ivy loses her journal, and the pictures start appearing in her locker at school, and she's trying to figure out where they're coming from. This book was absolutely precious. I loved it so much. This is the kind of book that I wish I'd had when I was younger. I think that this kind of book would have really helped me, and therefore I'm really, really glad it's out in the world now. But Ivy as a character was just precious, and I wanted to just protect her and give her a hug. There's a really great role model relationship in this book. There's really great friendships in this book. I just really, really loved it. It was easily a 5-star read. It made me cry a little bit. It was just so good. I cannot wait for Ashley Herring Blake to write more middle grade. I know she's got another one coming out next year, and I think she's going to start prepping for another one. And I can't wait because she just does it so well. Like I said, one of the easiest 5 stars that I've given to a book this year. I loved it. Next, I read The Wish Granter by C.J. Redwine. This was the last one that I managed to read during the Biannual Bibliothon. This is book 2 in the Ravenspire series, but it's a companion series of fairy tale retellings. So this one is a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. The thing about C.J. Redwine's retellings, because I read her first book too, which was a Snow White retelling, she is not afraid to get gruesome and creepy, and just, she goes there, and I kind of like that because the original stories were that way, and I love that she kind of goes back to that. But I absolutely loved this book. I think this may be one of my favorite retellings I've ever read. There were so many twists and turns I didn't see coming. It kept me on my toes the entire time. There is a lot of murder and torture, and if that's something that bothers you, maybe be careful of this. But like I said, she definitely goes there in her books, which is something that I personally don't mind, but maybe triggering to others. But I thought this was just such a cool story, and just the way that she retold the Rumpelstiltskin story, I don't even know, like, I just really, really liked it. I think this series deserves way more hype than it gets. I hardly ever hear people talk about this series on BookTube, but this series is really good. I can't wait to read the 3rd one, and I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. And the last book I read was my first book for BookTubeathon, and that was Quidditch Through the Ages by Kenilworthy-Wisp, or, you know, J.K. Rowling. This is one of the Hogwarts Library companions. I mean, it was nothing special. It just kind of talks about Quidditch. It was a fun little addition to the Harry Potter world. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was fun. I gave it 4 stars. There isn't really anything much to say about it. It doesn't have a plot, so, but it's fun to, like, see at the beginning, you know, the library card that has all the students' names, and Dumbledore has a note in the beginning, you know. It's cute, but I mean, it's just a little companion book. That is it for my July wrap-up. Again, sorry this went up so late. I just didn't get around to filming it because life happened. But let me know down in the comments what your favorite book you read in July was, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. Bye.